Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the Daily Betslip. Myself, Iain, MacMillan, Reed Wallach joining me today. Unfortunately, not in the best of moods today after what happened in Game 6 of the Maple Leafs Lightning Stanley Cup. I've been a shell of a man all day. What they have driven me to do, Reed, is after that overtime loss, I have not drank beer in 3 weeks because I'm trying to lose a little bit of weight. I've been running. I've been going to the gym. I haven't drank beer. And this is what the Maple Leafs do to me. So...
I could hear it in your voice too. Like you come on, you're like, "Hello, everybody." Like a very grim start to what is like a jam-packed show. I would have thought like you'd like at least put on a face somewhat for the show. Try and put on a brave face.
This is me putting on a brave face. Game 7's tomorrow night, and I already feel sick to my stomach. I've debated not watching it, but I think I just might get drunk beforehand. I think that's going to be my only way that I can handle it. But yes, we do have a jam-packed show tonight. Today for tonight's action, NBA, NHL, MLB action, full slate of games. As always, we got a Twitter poll going on. I think there's still a few minutes left for that. For tonight's game of the night between the Bucks and the Celtics, Game 6, I believe.
Yes, Game 6.
And Bucks have the 3-2 lead.
Yes, Bucks going for the close at home after a crazy Game 5.
So go ahead and vote for that on Twitter or on YouTube. There'll be a poll that should be up right now or shortly. And whatever pick you guys decide, myself and Reed will bet on that at the end of the game. At the end of the show. And like I said, we are going to dive into that a little bit deeper because that is the game of the night. And we also have, of course, Bad Beat. And you can probably guess what we're going to talk about for that section. And we are also going to talk, of course, our best bets for the night, Twitter's best bets. And we are also going to talk NFL Week 1, our early picks for a few NFL Week 1 games because the schedule was released last night. And along with it came opening lines for Week 1 of the NFL season. And then we'll finish up with some, like I said, with some game of the night talk, Bucks, Celtics. Ben Heisler chiming in already. Has anyone turned Iain falling out of the chair into a GIF yet? No, I tweeted a clip last night, though, because... Friedrich Nietzsche said it right when he said time's a flat circle, because here we are. I even said it. I literally made a video before the playoffs. Let's just dive into the first portion then.
I was going to say, let's just get to it. Just cope. I'll give you the floor. Cope. Let me hear.
Bad beat. I'm just going to use this show for like therapy right now. Bad beat of the night, even though it's technically wasn't really a bad beat. Bettors might say it wasn't a bad beat, but I'm going to use this, like I said, for a little therapy for the Leafs. I think Lightning.
I think I wouldn't call it like a bad beat, like not like a backdoor cover, but like that's a tough one, at least like from a unbiased party. Like that's a tough pill to swallow. Winning in the third period on the road, a closeout game, lose, and then like a kind of like a standstill overtime, where like not many chances, kind of back and forth, and then lose right before the end of the first overtime. I wouldn't say bad beat per se in like the typical sense, but that's a tough pill to swallow, especially going back home now.
Given the history, it's a bit of a bad beat. 0-8 heading into the game in series clinching games for the Maple Leafs dating back to 2013. Got the back-to-back defending champions on the ropes in their home barn. 3-2 lead in the third period. And then we blow that lead and then lose in overtime. And now we are 0-9 in series clinching games.
That's crazy.
Did you watch any of the game? I assume not.
I watched the whole thing.
Oh, okay. Oh, do you have multiple TVs though, eh?
Yeah, come on. I got the 3 TV setup. So I had the Sixers game on top, and then I was toggling between all the hockey games on the bottom because the Mets played in the afternoon. So I was all focused on the hockey.
With it being the Leafs, the only one I was watching was obviously the Leafs game. But 3-2 lead, and then what screwed the Leafs was a 5-on-3 power play the Lightning gave it. And both penalties were questionable, especially the second one. I forget who it was on the Lightning, but it was on Kerfoot on the Leafs. He took Kerfoot's stick and lifted it up into his own face, and it barely hit his face. It more hit his shoulder, and then the refs called a penalty and gave the Lightning almost 2 full minutes of 5-on-3 hockey. And 5-on-3 hockey is basically like you may as well just give the team, especially if you have two. Like it was a minute and 50 seconds of it. If you give a team a minute and 50 seconds of 5-on-3 hockey, they're just gonna score. Like the Leafs are actually kind of lucky that they didn't allow 2 goals in that span. So. That tied up the game on a complete bullshit penalty call. And then it goes to overtime. And then the referees who have been calling every single penalty for the entire series all of a sudden decide in overtime they're not going to call anything. I forget who was on the Lightning, was grabbing Austin Matthews, literally had his jersey in his hand, dragging him for 15 straight seconds, no penalty. Right before the game-winning goal, like 30 seconds beforehand, I forget who it was assaulted in front of the Lightning net. Puck wasn't even close, took a bow to the face, no penalty. Lightning go down and score. Oh, and also the game-tying goal, that should have been goaltender interference. The two Lightning players are all over Jack Campbell.
Isn't the whole shtick with the NHL players, because I watch as like a casual, I find it very entertaining, but isn't the whole thing like kind of anything goes? It's like no penalties whatsoever, because again, this is like complete eye test. You will know better than me, but it feels like there are a lot of penalties in these games, more so than usual, at least from my own memory. Maybe I'm off base here, but it seems like they're being very, very like ticky-tack with these penalties. I feel like every time I look, another team's on power play.
Yeah, especially in this series. But you're right. In playoffs past, it's usually like they kind of keep the whistle down. They let the boys play. In this series between the Lightning and the Maple Leafs, they've called like both the Leafs and the Maple Leafs, at least heading into the last game. I'm sure it probably is still the same, but we're the top two teams in the playoffs in power plays and in in penalties heading into that game. So they were calling them both ways. They weren't just necessarily favoring one team, but then last night, especially in overtime, they just decided not to call anything while guys were just getting blatantly assaulted. Like they should be suing the guy who was grabbing Austin Matthews. Is ridiculous. And then they called nothing. And then of course, like in 10 years down the road, there's going to be a compilation of just my reaction to the Leafs getting eliminated from the playoffs, because the last 2 seasons now have live streamed like the ends of games, and they've gone into overtime and the Leafs lose. Last year was the Canadiens. The year before that, it was the Blue Jackets. So there's already like 3 years worth of compilations of me just reacting to the Leafs losing in overtime.
You're too far in now too. You got to just let it go. You got to just do it now. You have to just buy in.
Yeah. And last night was even worse, because before the game last night, I was feeling confident. I went out and bought champagne and a cigar, and I had it in the background during my live stream. And then
that's a Cardinal spin there. That is just
that's
playing with the god of jinx. Like that is like begging for like, yeah, I want this. I want, bring me all the bad karma.
Yeah, so the champagne is now back in the fridge. I still have the cigar here. Let's see here. Oh, my headphones just came undone. 1 second.
As Iain looks for his victory cigar,
cigar is still there.
That may never be smoked for this series.
I mean, tomorrow night I'm going to smoke it anyways, because it's like then like I can't just keep a cigar for a year. I don't have like a cigar like closet thingy that you can put cigars in and keep them like fresh. So
well, if
tomorrow night's either going to be happy champagne and cigar or the saddest champagne and cigar ever consumed,
or like this should be. Like or it would have been good if you did for every Leafs game clinching loss. Now, what'd you say? It's 9. If you had like 9 cigars lined up, you could build yourself a nice little box now. You could get a nice little cigar box going for you.
If I had a house and like an area to store these things, then I would probably just store it and keep them until next year. But I don't. I live in an apartment. I'm going to move out soon, so I'm just going to consume them tomorrow night. They'll either be happy champagne and cigar or very, very sad champagne and cigar. So.
Well, I'm
not looking forward to the game.
I am pulling for you because, I want to see the reactions, because you will probably stream it, but also it feels like everyone in Toronto is going to go buck wild if you guys get off the schneid. So I'm pulling for you guys.
Do you see Maple Leaf Square? I know they did it Jurassic Park when there was a guy last night, the lone guy in a Lightning jersey, and when the Lightning won, he just slowly took off his jersey and rolled it up so he could get out of there live. So. Toronto's going to be nervous city tomorrow.
I don't want to stay too long on the game sevens, but of course, I bet I do this pretty much in all basketball and baseball, especially, but I bet just blindly every game 7 under. They hit at like a crazy rate to begin with, 29, 16, 6 since 2010, but like all 3 that are already decided, I'm on every under no matter what. And I guess it goes into, though, there's typically, no penalties called in game 7, right? Like, isn't that kind of what it is? That's like, let's just let him play.
Yeah, but yes, I agree with everything that you just said. My concern with betting on unders in general these NHL playoffs is that teams this season, for whatever reason, are extremely aggressive at pulling their goalies. Like, they're pulling their goalie, like, even if they're down 1 goal, they're pulling it with like 3.5 minutes left. And I look through, there's only been 3 games so far these playoffs that have been decided by 1 goal that, like, regulation finish games. Empty net goals are just happening. So I've already been burned a couple times on some empty net goals these playoffs. So I'm unders scare me. for that reason.
As someone who brings on the pain and hardly bets hockey, give them to me. Bring it on.
I like it. Last note I'll say, because I'm not going to – the Leafs game is tomorrow night, so this is the last I'll say for the rest of the show. Leafs 0-9 in series clinching games. They're taking on the back-to-back defending champions, whose goaltender Andrei Vasilevsky has 5 straight shutouts in series clinching games for the Lightning. So if you're looking at history, if you're looking at trends, if you're looking at experience, everything is going against the Maple Leafs. That's why the whole overtime during the live stream last night, I kept saying, like, we got to win it now. We got to win it now. We cannot let this go to 7. So to say I'm nervous would be an understatement.
Well, I am pulling for you, and I can't wait to see the stream, win or lose.
Go, Leafs, go. But with that being said, we'll move on to some more current games here, some best bets for tonight. We are going to start with the Twitter picks. So let's bring up the first one that we have. Who on Twitter, who are the Twitter people backing tonight? Dan Powell says they don't call him Scott Foster, the extender, for nothing. #Celtics. Now, I will say, this was, to his credit, this was sent early this morning, but I did see,
I got bad news for Dan.
30 minutes before we went live here, I see Scott Foster's out with COVID, unfortunately.
No non-COVID illness. But
non-COVID. I just saw COVID and thought it was COVID.
He's just sick. I got to say, though, I like kind of hate this like ref talk that like the only one that like is literally funny to me is the Chris Paul thing, because I think he's lost like 13 straight against what Scott Foster has officiated. Like that's kind of funny, but like just random, man. It's not like he actually decide. Like people are like, oh, gotta bet on the Celtics with Scott Foster. No offense, Dan, but like I gotta bet on Scott Foster because like he's repping and he's gonna have the series go. Like, come on, man. Like it's not actually how it works. Like,
well, didn't we see just like didn't he? Wasn't he the ref for the last Nets game in the first round? And people were betting on the Nets because of that, and then the Nets lost anyways.
Like there's no rhyme. The only one that like I'll actually like think about a little bit is the Chris Paul Scott Foster one, because I'm pretty sure Chris Paul's lost like his last I think he's 1-14 in playoff games with Scott. Like it's
crazy.
That is like breaking barriers in terms of like actual like epic streaks. So that one a whole game sweep, like a random playoff game, like guy's like one of the like longest tenured officials in NBA history. So like I won't like doesn't really change my opinion of the game. But like go Celtics, I guess.
Complete side note, very quick answer. I don't want to dig into too much of this, but what was the name of the NBA ref who got caught fixing games?
Tim Donahue.
Tim Donahue. Do you put any merit into that? Do you think that's still a thing?
No, not at all.
You think it's just one guy did it and that's it? They caught him
like years ago, but like today, no. There's too many like checks and balances and like ways to go through that for anything like that to happen.
All right, fair enough. I didn't want to spend too much time on that, but maybe that's a topic for another show. Let's bring up the next Twitter pick for tonight. Beers and bow ties at CheeseGrader23 says Logan Webb always does me right, so I'll be on Webb over 4.5 strikeouts tonight at -127. Of course, Logan Webb is the pitcher for the San Francisco Giants. Going up against the Cardinals, I believe. I had the note in front of me. I have now lost it. But I believe it's the Cardinals, and that bet does concern me a little bit. Cardinals are actually pretty good at not striking out. 6th in Major League Baseball in strikeout rate, only striking out 20.3% of time. So, I mean, if Logan Webb's your guy, go for it. -127. Not one that I'll be tailing myself, though. I mean, I love strikeout props. I'm on a different one I'm going to break down when we get to best bets.
It's a low number.
It is a low number. I don't have Logan Webb stats in front of me right now, so I mean, it is -127 as well. So
yeah,
the Cardinals team strikeout rate concerns me a little bit.
Yeah, I feel that I don't have like much of an edge here. I mean, we're gonna go through my second baseball bet of the year that isn't a Mets bet. So I don't know. I have no real take on the strikeout prop.
All right, then let's bring up the third Twitter pick of the night. H. What a unique username. H.
What up, H?
At H_Strott_6. Twins -1.5 at +160, and they are taking on the Guardians, who is I don't hate that bet because you're fading a guy who's probably been the worst starting pitcher in the major so far this season. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Aaron Cavale?
Cavale. I think it's a soft C.
9.45 ERA. Somehow he has a win. He has a 1-2 record somehow, but a 9.45 ERA. I had all my notes in front of me. For some reason, I think I closed them all down before I jumped on the stream. So
Yeah, no,
my
I
head's
think
all over the sorts today. But I look, he's allowed like at least like 5 runs in like 3 starts this season or 6 runs. He stinks.
Yeah, and it seems like the Guardians kind of coming back to earth a little bit after the hot start. So I think, Twins like with margin, especially at this big number, I like it. Twins like they're set up to roll tonight. I think I kind of like getting like a bigger blowout number instead of laying like a -140 price.
And I haven't looked at their numbers in about a week. I've been too locked in on NHL. But last week I looked at the Twins numbers, and like for like a 2-week span, they're like the best offense in baseball. I don't know if that's held up over this past week. But yeah, Twins bats are at least for a span there were hot. So they should be able to light Savale.
Yes,
Savale. Light him up. All right, let's bring up the 4th and final Twitter pick of the night. Yeah. I think this is, I don't know if he's parlaying them or he just wanted to give out 3 picks. Billy Button Pusher, at Billy Pusher. First period over between the Rangers and Pens. Celtics money line. Wiggins over 13.5 points. First period overs were a popular bet in the NHL for a span of time. Haven't been really as much lately. But the Penguins are just, their offense has been dominating the Rangers. So I do kind of like that pick. And the Penguins are still rocking with some backup goaltenders. So I like that quite a bit, especially if you have the flat number 1.
Yeah, what about, do you think no Crosby plays a role in like that bet specifically? Or
yeah, I'm going to talk about that when I get to my best bets. But like Crosby certainly has an effect. Does it have as big of an effect as the odds have indicated? Now, the thing with he said first period over. I don't know what the odds are for it. So it's a little bit tough to say.
Yeah.
Bet. I would guess that's plus money because usually first period overs are at a half a goal. But yeah, Crosby certainly has an effect. As big of an effect as what we've seen the odds move. We'll see when we get to my best bets portion. We'll hold off on Celtics money line for now because we're going to talk about that game quite a bit here later on in the show because that is our game of the night. But any thoughts on Wiggins over 13.5 points, Reed?
I kind of like it. I didn't play it. I'm not really looking at Wiggins, but back at home, role players tend to do better at home. And also just looking at his game log, scored 17 in 3 of the 4 games prior to the game 5 absolute boat racing where they lost. They were down like 50. So you could kind of throw that game out almost, but he scored at least 16 all 4 games, 17 in 3 of them. I think back at home, we should see the Warriors offense stabilize a little bit. So I like it. The only, I guess, like if I were to think of a concern is maybe like Steph or Clay or Poole, I guess for that matter, you could throw them in the mix here. Like if one of them is sitting on like a massive series clinching performance after kind of just getting taken behind, like just absolutely getting destroyed, that kind of will take away from Wiggins' usage. But Otto Porter might be hurt. I'm going to talk about him in a little bit. So I think this number is pretty good. I kind of like the over as well.
So there's Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, took at least 10 shots in the 4 games prior. So the volume's there. You should be able to get over this number.
People forget he's Canadian.
Yeah. The Maple Mamba, I think he was called when he got drafted. Something like that.
That's right. Let's get into our best bets now, Reed. I have 4 picks. 3 of them are in the NHL. So if it's okay with you, I'm going to whip through my NHL. I'll come back later for my MLB ones. So I'll switch over to you. So we're going to do a little back and forth. But since all 3 of mine are kind of NHL, let's just get through them. Then we'll do your baseball, my baseball, and then we'll finish with your 2 NBA. So then we'll go sport by sport. How does that sound?
That sounds great to me.
And as always, if you're watching this on Twitter, head over to YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you have any other picks that you like tonight, let us know in the YouTube comments. If you have any questions for tonight's games, let us know in the comments as well, and we'll get to those at some point during the show. My 3 NHL picks for the 3 NHL games tonight. Let's start off with Rangers Penguins. I alluded to it earlier. I'm still going to take the Penguins at plus money at home to close out the series in Game 6 because I am #underreact guy to injuries. This line has actually moved even more. I locked it in this morning. You can get it, I think it's plus 110 now for Penguins at home. Does Sidney Crosby have an effect in this game? Yes, absolutely. And to be honest, the Penguins were up 2-0 in Game 5 against the Rangers when he got hurt, and then the Rangers went on to make the comeback and win the game. So that certainly is concerning, but I think a lot of people are just going to start betting on the Rangers because Sidney Crosby's out, and it's the same thing I do in other sports, especially the NFL. Sometimes you got to underreact to these injuries. I mean, Crosby's only on the ice a certain amount of time anyways. This Penguins team has just been dominating the Rangers so much offensively that I still think they can get it done tonight. They're averaging 19.25 high danger scoring chances per 60 minutes. That's an insane number. And I've talked about this on the show before, but that's about 5 more high danger scoring chances than the Panthers, who led the regular season in that number at around 14 point something. So their offense has been dominating the Rangers defense. Shesterkin is the only guy who's been able to keep the Rangers in the series. Now, I've seen some people say that the Rangers would have won if Shesterkin has been playing better, but he's actually been playing fantastic. He's just allowing goals because, I mean, if you're getting 20 high danger scoring chances a game, you can't stop all of them. So I'm going to underreact to the Crosby news. I still like the Penguins tonight, just how good they played offensively. I'll go Penguins money line. I got it at plus 105, or at least those were the odds at WinBet this morning. Panthers Capitals, the second game. Just going to go with the obvious bet here again, because everything else in this series is confusing to me. The Capitals have been playing better. I mean, they were even up 3-0 in the last game before the Panthers scored 5 straight. General rule in Panthers games, if you're confused by it, just bet the over. So I got over 6.5 minus 125. I mentioned it earlier. They're the best offensive team in hockey in the regular season. Not only are they the best offensive team, they kind of stink defensively because of just how wide open of a style they play. They can allow some goals. They're averaging 13.18 high danger scoring chances per game in the playoffs. Capitals also getting some offense going, averaging 12.2 high danger scoring chances per game. So I wouldn't be surprised if Capitals can force a game 7 here, but I just think the most simple and easiest bet to make in this one, the one that makes the most sense at least, would be the over 6.5. I'll just ride it again. Hit for me in the last game pretty easily. I'll go with it again. Flames, Stars. I actually think these 3 bets are the exact same 3 bets I placed on these 3 series 2 nights ago, now that I think about it. I go back on the Flames to win on the puck line, minus 1.5, plus 160. I know I didn't do this with the Penguins, but I think I might just start doing, instead of money line, go puck line, because teams are getting so aggressive with pulling their goalies in the NHL playoffs so far. Only 3 games have been decided by 1 goal that were decided in regulation. The Flames, it kind of worked out for the Flames the last time when I bet their puck line. It's at plus 160, and they have been dominating the Stars. They're actually have been the second most dominating team in the playoffs outside of the Avalanche, who swept the Predators. Their Corsi percentage in the playoffs, 60.67%, which is insane. Their expected goals per game is at 3.83. The Stars are at 2.6. The Stars goaltender, Jake Ottinger, is the only guy keeping them in this series, or has been able to keep them in the series. Flames are just generally the much better team here. I think they dominate tonight and close that series out. So 3 NHL picks: Penguins money line, over 6.5 Panthers Capitals, and then Flames minus 1.5, plus 160.
Those all sound great. I will say the Flames Stars, maybe not an entertaining series, but great jersey matchup. Very aesthetically pleasing matchups both ways in Dallas and Calgary.
Could not agree more. Very, very good jersey matchup. Probably the only thing good about watching that game, because you're right.
Yeah, at least you're going to look good. If you're not going to do anything really, at least you're going to look good while playing.
And I have a sizable bet on the Flames to win the Western Conference. So in the West, I'm a big-time Flames fan. Let's go Flames.
And that is game 6 in Dallas, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So cool. Flames can close it out. If the Stars win, it's going back to Calgary for game 7.
Very nice.
All right, let's do some Major League Baseball. Give me your what you said it was your second non-Mets.
Yeah. So Tuesday, obviously other sports winding down. I don't really focus on baseball. I kind of I'm a Mets fan, so I keep an eye, but nothing too crazy. But I was on Daily Betslip, and I placed my first baseball bet of the year. It won. Giants, Rockies over 7.5. So 1-0 on BetSlip bet. So now that was a tongue twister, but now let's see if we could maybe ride this out a little bit, see if it goes any better. I'm going with an underdog. I'm going to go with the Padres, plus 143 over at WinBet right now. I know a weird number, but plus 140, plus 145. Padres against the Braves. So Max Fried is putting up like crazy numbers, but he is a lefty. And I think why he's been getting by is that he's had a crazy walk rate, only 2 walks in 37 innings. That's going to be an issue against the Padres. Second highest walk rate in baseball. They're 6th in on-base percentage against lefties this season. And I think Yu Darvish is being a little undervalued. His ERA is up near 4, but that includes like one outing where he let up 9 runs in like an inning and a half. Like one of those like just complete blow-up games. So if you take that out, his ERA is closer to 3. Braves have the 3rd highest K rate. Darvish's strikeouts are down, so maybe that kind of regresses to the mean. I don't know, as an underdog, the Braves haven't been that inspiring this year. I'll take the better team in the Padres at a big plus money spot. I think Fried's being a little overvalued.
Love a good underdog bet. Love that bet quite a bit. Did you bet on Mets games too, or is this just your overall second MLB bet?
This is my overall, like, sometimes I'll throw the Mets in, but like I won't like say it, or like that's just like kind of for like
It's
I'm
just
watching, just like throwing it in for myself. So I won't like tout it. Like I hit all my Mets bets. So like this is now my official record is 1-0 on the year.
Let's stay perfect.
Yeah, let's stay perfect. Get an underdog now.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, all that good stuff. Of course, we go live 5 p.m. Eastern. Monday to Friday, and then 11 a.m. Eastern on Saturday and Sunday for Bet and Breakfast. But now I'm going to give out my baseball pick today, and it is a game that I'm going to. I'm going to go watch your Mets tonight, Reed. I'm going to go watch them against the Mariners tonight. It is Max Scherzer pitching. I'm going to take him over 7.5 strikeouts at even money. Because I'm going to be at the game. Why not just cheer for Max Scherzer to light it up? Still, even though how old is Max Scherzer now? 68 years old. He's getting up there. Strikeout rate hasn't gone down. It's actually gone up 0.1 strikeouts per 9 innings compared to last year. He surpassed 7.5 strikeouts in 3 of his last 4 starts, including back-to-back 10 strikeout performances against the Giants and Cardinals at the end of April. And now he faces a Mariners team that overall their strikeout numbers are pretty good, but they've been horrible lately. Definitely trending downwards when it comes to strikeout rate. Over their last 3 games, they have a strikeout rate of 28.8%, which is the 3rd worst mark in Major League Baseball over each team's last 3 games. So I'm going to be there. I'm going to watch Max Scherzer live for the first time in my life. Why not take the over on his K prop, 7.5 at even money?
Yeah, and I'll like kind of nerd Met fan you. Blackout on Friday. Mets wearing their black jerseys. Yeah, they brought him, new owner Steve Cohen. He brought back like an old tradition of the Mets wearing their black jerseys on Friday, so they're going to look fresh. I like the Mariners' offense, like really uninspiring. Also, so I think Scherzer, he's been able to go long into games too. I think he's done 6 innings in every single game this year. So I really like it. I think Scherzer's going to be able to like touch double digits tonight. I think Mets kind of will. Max
Scherzer, 37 years old.
And he's still like pitching at such a crazy level. It's insane. I'm hoping, I mean, not to get like too high in Mets talk, but you know, with DeGrom hopefully coming back in July, I'm not holding out that much hope, but you got to hope DeGrom could come back and take some of the pressure off of Scherzer as we get into the later stages of the year. But I mean, he's coming in just pitching at such a high level. It's been huge for the Mets, obviously, in first in the NL East.
Is it too early to talk about a potential all New York World Series?
The Subway Series.
The Subway.
That's what it was called in 2000, the Subway Series. I don't think it's too early. I mean, listen, they're what? Maybe not both best record, but like both.
Wait, have they faced against each other in the World Series before?
Yeah, 2000 World Series.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
I should have known that. That's crazy.
Yeah, and it was the Subway Series. It's a thing. And like odds are, I wouldn't say, I mean, it's got to be like as likely as like what? Like 3 other World Series matchups. Like there's definitely a chance. We'll see if they can keep it up. I mean, off to as good of a start as you could ask for. I think they each have what, like, if not the best record, they're decimal points outside the best record in baseball.
Yeah, of course, the Dodgers would be the biggest issue for the Mets in the NL, and the Yankees won't get past the Jays once we get into
exactly, totally, 100%.
All right, let's switch over to the National Basketball Association. Reed, you got 2 picks for that tonight. Hit me with them.
Yeah, so I'll go prop first, then side. I'm going to go Steven Adams over 20.5 PRA. That's points, rebounds, and assists. I call it PRA. So Adams couldn't play in the first round series against Minnesota. Got played off the floor because Karl-Anthony Towns could pick and pop and shoot from 3. So Adams got played off the floor. That's not the case in this series. He was out at the beginning he tested positive for COVID, but he's back now. He's played 27 minutes in game 4, played 21 in game 5. They obviously won by 50. They won by like 30 something in game 1, but they were up 50 in game 5. They were up 50. So Adams is playing a lot. Had 28 points, rebounds, and assists in game 4, 23 in game 5. With Draymond Green not shooting at all, it lets Adams stay out on the floor, and he's massive. He's the biggest guy on the floor, so he inhales rebounds. 15 in game 4, 13 in game 5. I think the usage is going to be there. I think he's going to hang on the floor. 20, and he also gets he's had 3 assists in both games. So I like this over 20.5 PRA. It's too low given what he's doing on the floor. I think that there's like too much of a overreaction from the first round series and him missing the first handful of games due to COVID that like people think he's not playing a lot, but he is, and he's producing when he's on the floor.
I like it.
Okay. And then for side, I think the Grizz are kind of live tonight. I think that they can win. I haven't placed a bet. I'm kind of stuck in between taking first half and game. I'll end up on the game. They might run out of gas at the end, but like if you throw out both game 3 where the Warriors won by 30 and game 5 where the Grizz won by 30. I know Ja Morant hasn't played in every game. He's been out since game 4, but the Grizz could hang with this Warriors team. They match up really well defensively. They're forcing the Warriors into a ton of turnovers. I think they got a shot. Maybe they run out of gas at the end, like Steph hits a bunch of threes and they pull away, but I just still think this line is a little too high given the fact that the Warriors just haven't really been able to win with margin in the series outside that one game where they went nuts from 3. So if they go nuts from 3, I guess, that's a loss. But the Grizz, they play hard. I know Ja Morant's not playing, but the Ewing theory, I've spoken about with you, Ian. It's strong with this team. They dominate all year. And keep an eye on Otto Porter Jr. He left the game early. He's a game time decision. He'll probably end up playing, but before that blowout loss to, on Wednesday, plus 25.4 net rating, best on the team of any guy in the rotation. He's been fantastic doing everything, rebounding, stretching the floor. He's been huge for them. If he's hobbled, that's another bench guy the Warriors are down. They're really starting to run thin. I think it's been a little underrated. Gary Payton obviously fractured his elbow. Otto Porter, if he's out, Andre Iguodala's been out. Just, I don't know. I think that this game is going to be tight again. I think the Warriors are kind of playing with their food, and I'll take it with the Grizz. I just think that they could keep it close.
Do you have the Grizzlies record in front of you of what they are without Ja Morant in their lineup?
I want to say, I don't have it in front of me, but I can pull it up. But I think it's like 21-5 or something. Like
21-6. I believe it's 21-6 off the top of my head.
Which that's insane.
Big NBA guy. Yeah,
that's insane. Let me see. Let me go digging here. Yeah, they're 21-6 without him. That includes, I guess, the playoffs where they're 1-1 without him. I mean, that's just nuts. So the team continues to overachieve. They play tough. Maybe they run out of gas at the end, but that's why I'm stuck in between this first half thing. But I'll take the full game. Let's go Grizz +8.
Love it. I'm with you. I'd be with you on that as well. Underreact to the Ja Morant injury, especially with their record without him. Let's switch gears to a completely different sport now. Let's talk about the National Football League, which despite it not being a thing for another, 4 months, 3 months, 4 months?
Something like that. But they give us enough content to talk about year-round.
They are a 365-day sport. So, I mean, especially with last night, the schedule was released along with week 1 odds. Let's break down a little early picks that we like for week 1. We'll just alternate. I'll go give one out first, then you go read, and then back to me, and then back to you. Yep. Obviously, you don't have a lot. I mean, we don't have any stats to go off of, so this is all just kind of opinions and subjective reasoning. But I like the Cardinals +3 against the Chiefs. I think, well, first of all, the Chiefs have been one of the worst spread teams in the NFL the past 2 seasons because everyone has fallen in love with Patrick Mahomes, and rightfully so, but they overvalue how good the Chiefs are because of the crazy things that Patrick Mahomes can do. But let's not forget they had one of the worst defenses in the National Football League last year. Patrick Mahomes lost his best weapon in Tyreek Hill. I'm interested to see how he responds to that. And then on top of all that, the Cardinals are always a good bet to start the year. And then eventually Kyler Murray gets hurt. They run into issues later on in the year. But at the start of the year, the Cardinals are, at least the past 2 seasons, have been a strong team. So
best team in football last year. We're the last unbeaten team.
Cardinals? Were they? Yeah, I think they were. Now that you say that. I don't think it lasted very long.
The NFL, it's not really working just yet, but I'm pretty sure they're the last unbeaten team. I think they jumped over
the record. It was the year before. It's one of the last 2 years. Yeah. And then were they in the playoffs? Yeah, my NFL brain is completely shut off. Or was that 2 years?
They got worked by the Rams in the divisional round. Kyler was running around for his life doing nothing.
Right.
And pouting.
That was last year, was it?
Yeah, that one was last year.
The years kind of blend into my head, especially in the NFL offseason. But yeah, so I like them early in the year, +3 against the Chiefs. That's kind of a fade of the Chiefs.
Yeah. I don't really this one, when I was going through the line stuff, and obviously I haven't really dug up any NFL stuff yet. This is kind of just off the top of my head. Seems like Cardinals or nothing. Early, you kind of make the point, early year Cardinals at home.
Yeah.
And getting a field goal. We don't really know what the Chiefs are going to be yet. No Tyreek. I know, no Hopkins either for the Cards, but, I think Tyreek might be a little bit more impactful than Hopkins, weirdly enough.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I like it. And then my first pick will be The New York Football Giants, my New York Football Giants, plus 6.5 at the Tennessee Titans. Are we sure the Titans are going to be like any good at all?
No, we aren't.
Yeah,
No, of course not.
Like
you're not going to find a bigger supporter of this bet than me.
Yeah, it's like the Giants. I'm not going to say they're good. I'm not going to say they're going to make the playoffs, but they're bringing in a new coach. They continue to build on the offensive line. They get some good pass rushers. Like I said, Brian Dable now head coach, maybe a fully healthy Saquon Barkley going into the year. Just you're going to tell me this Titans team that just traded away AJ Brown. I get they have Derrick Henry and stuff, but they're laying 6.5 to the Giants. Like the Giants can't hang in this game. The Giants can't lose by 3 or 4. Like the Titans have to win by a touchdown. You're telling me the Titans have to win with margin? Like, I don't know. Also, the Titans last year, if we just want to talk about them, even without Henry, they were really good at like outperforming expectations. So like when they were underdogs, they would win. Like they beat the Bills, I remember on Monday Night Football last year, stuff like that. They beat the Rams. Remember that game where like they picked six Stafford twice or whatever. But like as a favorite, they didn't do anything. So I kind of like the Giants here getting 6.5. Like I wouldn't be shocked at all if the Giants jumped out to a 1 as like that big upset from week 1 that like everyone should have seen coming.
Love that bet. Yeah, Titans lost to kind of combine the two picks. Titans lost to the Cardinals in week 1 last year too. So the Titans are frauds last year. They're the worst ones.
Vrabel's a good underdog coach, but not a good as a favorite coach against the spread. This is a big number.
Yeah, I agree quite a bit. So my second pick here, I'm going to go with the Vikings +2 against the Packers. I'm kind of, like I said, I was going to fade the Chiefs, going to fade the Packers as well. I wasn't totally sold on them last year, especially their defense. I just don't know who Aaron Rodgers is going to throw to. Who's Aaron Rodgers going to throw to?
May.
Yeah, might be. My phone's on. I'm waiting for a phone call. I talked about this, I think it was yesterday. I know days mushed together with Donovan when we were talking about division winners. No, that wasn't yesterday. Yes, it was. No, it was teams that didn't make the playoffs last year who we think are going to make the playoffs this year. I picked the Vikings because I think the Vikings can be competitive in that division. I think they underperformed the last few years. I think from a talent-wise, I think they stack up well with the division, especially against the Packers. Aaron Rodgers faltered in the playoffs again last year. I just don't know how good he is without a true number 1 receiver. So the odds makers made this line 2 points for a reason. I think it's going to be close. I'll take Vikings +2.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on this Vikings maybe being underrated going into the year. I've never been a believer in the Packers. The last 2-3 years, even though they've made like playoff runs, I've just never really bought into the whole Aaron Rodgers. Like obviously he's amazing, but I just haven't bought it to the whole team. So I'm with you here. I think that the Vikings could definitely hang. I think a lot of questions around Green Bay, whereas the Vikings questions at coach, but at least we know what they have on the roster. You know what I mean? Like we know what we're going to see more or less. So yes. I'm with you there. My last one, and I was looking through the lines, and this one jumped out to me. Patriots +3 in Miami week 1. I mean,
it almost seems too obvious, though, doesn't it?
I get like it's a new season, teams changed, Dolphins got a new coach. The Patriots were 6-point favorites in Miami in week 18. Granted, they lost, so like maybe that was real wrong, but you're telling me 9-point change in an offseason? It's the same quarterbacks.
Good point.
I mean, okay, you're telling me first-time head coach, Mike McDonald. That's definitely his name, right? Mike McDonald from the Niners. Matt McDonald.
Close enough. I'll look it up here. Just keep talking. I'll look it up.
Is going to outcoach Bill Belichick and be a favorite nonetheless. Like, why are we all like thinking the Dolphins are going to be amazing?
Mike McDaniel.
Because 2 years ago they frauded their way to the playoffs or right onto the brink of the playoffs. Ryan Fitzpatrick. Like, what are we doing here? Like the Patriots again. No Josh McDaniels. So what? Like Mac Jones is pretty good.
It's Mike McDaniel.
So I was like right there. Close. I thought I messed up the first.
That's what I thought it was, but then I was like, am I getting confused with Josh McDaniels? But no.
So there's a lot of mix with this, with all these teams. But I mean, 3-point favorite Miami. Like, are we sure Tua is good? Like, I think Mac has shown a lot more than Tua. I know, granted, like not the same draft class, but still, I think Mac has shown more than Tua.
Yeah, is Mac Jones going to be their starter week 1, or is it going to be your boy?
Who?
Bailey Zappi.
No, Zappy's not ready for that. He's got to get the arm strength a little bit better. But no, I think this is nuts. Getting a field goal too, like worse. Yeah. I think this is a close game no matter what. I wouldn't be shocked at all if the Patriots win. So
that's
again, they closed 6-point favorite. Again, they lost the game, so maybe they were a little overvalued, which I think they were at the end of the year. But still, what are we doing here? Just because they got Tyreek Hill?
That was my thought when I looked at it. Was like it seems.
Yeah,
it jumped off to the page to me that it seems so obvious that it's obvious bets make it scare me. But
the
yeah,
Dolphins might be like, as I look through I start to kind of warm up to the NFL. I'm thinking I might be taking like some Dolphins to miss the playoff bets and stuff. Like, there's a chance the Dolphins are terrible.
And also, do we even know Mike McDaniel's a good coach? Like, he popped out of nowhere halfway through the season last year because he had a couple of funny quick snippets to the media, and then they fell in love with him.
He's a cool guy. Again,
it's Kyle Shanahan's
the Brandon Staley thing. It's the Brandon Staley conundrum.
Right.
He's out. We know he's a pretty good coach. We don't know how good, but who would you rather bet on? Bill Belichick and Mac Jones, who just went into the playoffs last year,
right?
Or Mike McDaniel and Tua Tagovailoa, who is we don't even know if he could throw far enough to make it worthwhile to have Tyreek Hill on your team.
Yep, I'm with you.
All right, that was good. Right. I like that. That was a nice little NFL talk.
We are in agreement on all four, I think.
So we're screwed.
Yes. Yeah, so we're screwed. So we go 0-4 on those. Obviously, I mean, it goes to, I don't know if I'm not locking these in now, though, right?
No. But
they're just fun to talk about.
Those are where I'm those are firm leans. The two, if I had to guess as I get close, I'll probably bet those two. I said,
right.
I have to look more into yours.
It'll be interesting to see how much the lines move between now and the start of the season. But we're a little bit behind schedule here, Reed. So let's jump right into the game of the night here. Bucks Celtics Game 6. As always, it's always NBA playoffs for the most part that we do game of the night. And as I say every single show, I'm not an NBA guy. So I'm going to need you to teach me what's going on in this game. Give me the ins and outs. Let me know what's going on in Celtics Bucks Game 6.
So Game 5, one of the all-time playoff performances. Bucks come back from down double digits in the fourth quarter. Crazy. I think they were down 6 with about 2 minutes left. Giannis Antetokounmpo, great plays. Drew Holiday, 2 defensive stops. The Bucks pull it out. So they go up 3-2. They're not coming home, defending champs, laying a small spread, basically a pick'em game. These two there's not much separating these two. The real difference is that Giannis Antetokounmpo is the best player in the world, and that's what's separating it. All these games
better than the back-to-back MVP.
Yeah.
All right.
Giannis is just this Celtics defense is all world. This Celtics defense is as good as it gets, and Giannis is just bending them to his will. He's averaging well over 30 points. His prop is 33.5 for tonight's his point prop.
Is the question about to become MJ or Giannis?
No. We're not getting nuts. But if I was talking about this today. I was talking about this today with a few friends. But one, I think the Bucks are going to win it all. I think they get through this series and they win it all. You start to think Giannis, assuming a steady path for the rest of his career. It's kind of tough to keep him outside the top 10 at this rate. He's a back-to-back MVP, back-to-back finals, probably back-to-back finals MVPs. He's kind of going up the ladder really fast. So that's what's going up tonight. And obviously the dynamic and the narrative is, how do the Celtics get off the mat after they blew that game to Milwaukee, straight up blew it. So how do you get off the mat after losing that? The Bucks got an offensive rebound with about 10 seconds left to take the lead for the first time all quarter. So
shout out Bobby Portis.
Yeah, Bobby Portis puts back a Giannis missed free throw. So really tough spot for the Celtics. But the Celtics are game for this. They're right there. Again, like I said, it's two pretty evenly matched teams as indicated in the line. So that's kind of setting the stage for this pivotal Game 6.
All right, then. So then let's jump right into our best bets for the game. And even though I'm #non-NBA guy, I still have a pick for the game. I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are for my pick. And then we'll get into your best bet for the game. So I'm going to go Drew Holiday over 20.5 points. And this is part of my notes that I had up in front of me, and then I closed everything off before we went live for some reason. So here they are. Average 16.2 field goal attempts per game against the Bulls. He's now averaging 23.2 field goal attempts against the Celtics. Pretty significant increase there. And he's also played over 40 minutes in his last 3 games, and he surpassed this number in 3 of his last 5 games. So it seems to me like he's been a pretty key player for the Bucks in this series. So over 20.5 points.
Yeah, and this is basically Chris Middleton, he sprained his MCL, the Bucks kind of go-to scorer. So like Drew has taken over as kind of that secondary threat. He hasn't been scoring very efficiently, but like you said, the volume is there. That's why I like this play, that he's taken 20 plus, shots, getting to the free throw line, hits a few threes. This number is going to get there. Again, you could pencil in Giannis for like his 35. It's where is the other, 60, 70 points coming from? And honestly, like Drew's taking a handful of those shots. I think it's a good bet.
7 more shots per series or per game this series than last series. So I like it.
Massive jump. And like I just mentioned, like Giannis will get his 35, Drew will get his 25, and then like where are the rest of the points going? I like the under. I'm kind of like hooked on these Celtics Bucks unders. They went over the past 2 games, but like the pace was there for it to go under. It was the fourth quarter in game 4 where Al Horford like went absolutely berserk. They scored 71 points in the fourth quarter, sent it over. In game 5, 62 in the third, sent it over, a total similar to this. These games get tighter and tighter. We know the adjustments. Everyone knows it's not like early in the series, you see teams kind of adjust to what the other team is going to do. Guys lose their spot in the rotation, so on and so forth. There's no more adjustments anymore. Like you kind of know who's playing and what's going to happen. It's will the shots go in? And I don't know if the shots are going to go in. These teams are exhausted. They're both defensive minded. The Bucks have the lowest effective field goal percentage in this round. They're shooting 47%. That's like weighted for 3-point percentage more. So these games have been trending under. It's like a few lucky breaks here and there. Game 5 probably should have went under 2. So I like the pace is slow. I like the under 212.5. That's my best bet for this one. I think we see a low scoring game, and we'll get to the community pick, but then I'll give you, I guess, like I'm not betting it, but I'll give you like my side on the game.
So let's talk about the community pick. So I'm going Drew Holiday over 20.5 points. You're going under 12.5 or 212.5 for the full game total. The community pick, it has been locked in as Celtics plus 1.5 between the Twitter poll and the YouTube poll. So I will be backing that as well. Reed, you have to, because it's a community pick, so you got to put at least a couple dollars on it. I knew that I figured it was going to be the community pick, because when I tweeted it out today looking for everyone's best bets, everyone said Celtics. So what are your thoughts? Because I obviously don't know. So
yeah, I bet some Bucks. I wrote this up on BetSided. I wrote that I like the Bucks in the series after game 2, like plus money to win the series. I have some Bucks futures to win the title. I kind of think they're going to win the title, but for the sake of the community poll, this will be a small hedge for me because, going back to game 7, but part of me thinks I'll take the plus 1.5. Maybe Bucks win by 1 and I win my bet. But I kind of think the Bucks are like, again, small difference, but like tie goes to the best player on the floor, right? Like Giannis could just like take over and win this game. I kind of think the Bucks pull away and take it home. But sure, I'll take the 1.5 and try and thread a needle and get this one home for the community.
I love it. Perfect. That but basically wraps up the show here. Reed, really quick, you said the Bucks are going to win the NBA championship. Who wins the West?
It's tough, man. It's tough. I will go with the Warriors, but like that's not a confident pick. Like that's like a gun to my head. I'll take the Warriors. I kind of sneaky think, weirdly enough, I think the Warriors match up better with the Suns and the Mavericks. If the Mavs win game 7 and they have the best player on the floor in a game 7, I know they're on the road. The Mavs get through that. I kind of think the Mavs are going to the finals, which would be pretty epic given, Luka Doncic and all that will do for his career. And former net Jason Kidd. Shout out Jason Kidd behind me.
You pointed to the wrong shoulder again.
I know. I'm so bad because like the camera is like the opposite way, where that way.
I love it. All right, that wraps up our show. My first ever Friday edition of Daily Betslip. Usually this is my day off. I'm going to take the weekend off instead. Reed, you'll be back tomorrow, Bet and Breakfast, 11 a.m. Eastern, with Donovan breaking down whatever's going on Saturday. You'll probably talk
game 7. Today. You're game 7.
Oh God, I'm not looking forward to it.
Maybe
you'll give out some UFC picks on the show.
Absolutely. I finalized the card today. You could go, if you're watching, go check it out. It's up on BetSide, but I'll go into further detail. But if you want to hear more about it, you could go watch Jab Crosshook from Wednesday with the guy that is on both side of me right now, Iain and Amy Kaplan.
And you will be giving out your best NASCAR pick for Sunday, so look forward to that.
Kevin Harvick every time.
All right, that's our show. My friends, thank you for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, as always, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Best of luck with your picks tonight. Go, Leafs, go. We'll talk to you next time. Next time I'll be on camera will be, maybe live stream for tomorrow night, but next week and definitely next week, you'll see, you'll be able to tell immediately just by my mood whether or not the Leafs won. So go, Leafs, go. Good luck with your picks. We'll see you next time.